Well, here we are. We're going to start, now that I got the brakes fixed-ish, front brakes. Still need rear brakes, but that's optional at the moment. Big thing is, right now, is remounting the battery box, because my battery tray is, lack thereof. And it was rotten anyways. So this is going to be the next project. We're going to relocate the battery to the front. I had this kit for a long time. So it's about time we get it installed. So kind of give an idea. So the overall size of the battery box is 16 by 13, 16 tall by 13 across. Opening's about that. So that's the hole I need to cut. And then once we get the battery in, then we're going to run a cable to a circuit breaker, which is going to be underneath here too. And then it's going to go down underneath the car, running back to the starter, which then I also have to extend a couple of the wires here to the starter, because let's see here, all this, well, I guess this wire here. So a wire has to be mounted from here to the starter, where to replace this right here, which actually goes to the battery. So that should be pretty easy. I don't see that being a big problem. And then this has also got to get mounted. I also got to find another screw to finish mounting this. And then we can move on to other parts of the car. Some coolant system modifications and a throttle cable modification. It all has to be done to this car yet. So, yeah, I still got my work cut out. So I pulled this out because I tried doing it in the car. It's not working. I was standing on a bucket. That sucks. So, pulled it out. Now we can kind of get a better idea how it's going to go in there. I trimmed the corners a little bit to kind of make sure it fits the roundness of it. And it should go in something similar to that, because I think I'm going to have this up, and I'll just when I drill these holes out, I'll make sure I go through here. And then I'm also going to rivet it down too. That fits just between there. So, yeah, we shall continue. Now it's going to be all the measuring and stuff, so fun stuff. All right, it is installed. Not the way I like it. I got 2 bolts, one there, one there. I wanted to use rivets. I think that one's got a rivet in it. Problem is when I push it through the fiberglass, this flexes. So I did pull the whole thing out to cut it. And to put it all back together, if I knew I had to remove the brake or get the brake master cylinder out of the way, I would have installed that when the piece was outside. That would have been a lot easier. Then I could have used rivets and made it look a lot more professional. But, oh well, I'll take a look underneath here. Get a good look. So this is what it looks like underneath. The notch is for the sway bar. See one of the bolts right there that I got mounted. And that one, which was a nightmare by myself. The brake lines you kind of tuck this out of the, kind of pull it out of the way a little ways. So, but that's it. As you see, my car's got some goofy damage going on here. It's like someone pulled this car, must have ran a strap through here and through here. And when they pulled it, because it's kind of like squished together and pulled. So those should probably be replaced, because I don't see any wrinkles or any damage in the frame rail to say, hey, there's damage to this car that's causing that. So, and everything else on this car is actually pretty good shape. So those are gonna have to get replaced. Oh well. Now I gotta mount some stuff. Yay! All right, so kind of screwing around. I can't get the spare tire to fit with this particular battery. Though when I was reading, it looks like you got to trim some of that out if you want to get your spare tire to fit. But then some guys also say they were running a smaller battery. I don't even know if this is the right size battery for a Fiero, by the way, so it could be part of my problem. I've drilled holes in the sides. Positive one's going to go through there, through the hole here. Negative one's going to go throughout the other side. Then it's going to go up to the circuit breaker right here. In case something would ground out, the positive cable. Hit a bump or something like that, rips it off, grounds out. At least my car ain't going to light on fire, hopefully. It's a 150 amp circuit breaker, I believe. So, yeah. So, that should hopefully prevent any major issues. And then I kind of got some wire loosely ran. There's really no good spot. Like on my Stealth, when I ran it through the car. But on this Fiero here, I don't have the bulkhead connectors anymore to do it. So what I'm going to do is just run it inside of here. Kind of get it tucked in here. That's kind of the game plan. Have it looped around and go up to the starter. If you're wondering why there's so much room, well, there's lack of a Cadillac converter on this car. As you can see, the subframe had some repair work done to it. There's a weld there and a weld there. Literally took two bad subframes. One was bad on one side, the other one was bad on the other. Cut them in half and took the two good halves and made one subframe out of it. So the guy who does this welding, I trust his welding 100% with like my life. So that's why it doesn't scare me. I mean, it'll break somewhere, not there, not there. So it's not his welding that's going to be the problem. It's going to be the fact that it's a Fiero. For the push button, what I am doing is, I don't exactly know where I'm going to put it, but I'm going to put a hole right there. I'm going to run a little hose through it, act as a rubber grommet. I can look at what rubber grommets I got, but I think that's going to be the route I'm going to take. And then I can start putting this interior back together. Yay! Need a headliner really bad. It's annoying. But that'll come out right out the top between the two, and that should drop right down to the starter down there. So, whew. All right, got a lot done on the Fiero here. Start off with the battery. Front mount battery conversion complete for the most part. For the spare tire to fit, you got to trim back here a little bit. And I don't know if this is the right size battery for a Fiero. It's what I had floating around. But what I'm going to do is run a smaller battery. I know we're doing some reading. You see like a Honda Civic or some of those other cars, they got a little smaller battery that'll fit in there. And it'll make it easier for getting the spare tire in and out. And then I'm going to come up, once I get the right size battery, which will be till spring, I'm going to drill a hole here, drill a hole there, run some threaded rod out, then run an angle iron so it would hold on this back corner and keep it tucked in. So that way, if you hit a bump or something, you don't have to worry about the battery flipping out or doing something crazy. So, so that is like that. I got the cable ran along, I believe it's for the air conditioner, alongside the tank. It comes up I got it kind of tucked out of the way, away from anything hot, sharp edges. It goes to the starter back there. And then there's a wire I got kind of tucked out of the way for now. That goes to the main distribution block there. That's got to get tied up better, but that's going to have to wait till spring. I don't know what I'm going to do over there just yet. the screw holes are all stripped out, and there's a lot of issues going on there. So then I had an issue with the coolant hose going by around there. The guy used copper pipe for the heater core there. Well, to get the right pipe to fit in there, I think I might have to pull the motor out or do something. I don't know. It looks like a complete nightmare. So I ran the hose this way, going over. I got to cut the zip tie because I no longer need it. It's for bleeding the coolant system. I like using little T's on the second highest point in the heater core system because it helps get all the air out. And so I use that. Then that just goes down and to a fitting down there and goes back up to the intake. Then I had the issue with my throttle, which I got to find my little E-clip. But I had a dual carb bracket kit, cheap one off of eBay, and used one of the fittings off of there to make up, because right here is actually the rubber from the inside of my throttle. So this would be on the inside of the throttle, slide into the peg there. Unfortunately, this is shot. So I just got to find that little E-clip, and then the throttle's done, and put my return spring on. Then for the push button start, I got some rubber grommets there. Wire comes out right to the starter, which was a nightmare because when I did it, of course, the plastic on the solenoids broke, and yeah. So, of course, it was like the last thing I had to do, and of course, it was the last thing to break, and then I had to pull my starter out and stuff. My push button's right there. I did spray bomb it black a little bit to kind of help reduce it. But the one wire tucks underneath, goes to a fuse on my fuse panel here. What you see right there is one of the fuse splicing things. So it's a fuse link in case it grounds out. I don't like the car on fire. I got the back panel out. I just changed a bunch of these lights over to LED. Because a couple of them were burnt out, and yeah. But I also had to change the gauge cluster here to a 4-cylinder gauge cluster for the proper tach. Unfortunately, now the speedometer only goes up to 85. I don't know if that's going to mess with my speedometer. I guess I'll find out when I take it for a trip. If it says I'm doing 30 and I'm doing 45 or 50, well, I would have to probably pull the gauge cluster apart and swap it out. I also changed this too. This one's in better shape, little faded on the top, but the other one had a big crack going down it. Got the interior all back together, so that's nice. I just thought I had an installation kit for a radio, and I was going to do that right away, and got it for about a dozen other cars, but not for a Fiero or something similar. Also up here, I did install got too long of screws, but my circuit breaker. So in case this is the wire that goes to the starter, in case that grounds out. In fact, I'm looking at it. I don't like that. I better do something about that so it don't ground out on this. That looks awfully freaking close. So, yeah, I'm going to wrap it in put a little rubber hose or something over that just to keep that away, because that's not good. If that grounds out there, it should trip, but yeah, we don't want that. And right now I got the battery on a tender. So yeah. Also got my taillights. Got everything solved on my lights. I was having issues where my running lights weren't working. Here, when I first had the problem, I checked all the fuses. First thing I did, the fuse was good. So then I was screwing around with the electrical connector there after my swap, and I must have blew the fuse because I still had issues, and now there is no issues. It is slick. And my one headlight motor works, which not a surprise. So Yeah, look at that. Running lights. And when I put the car in the on position, I also changed the bulbs where it says Pontiac with some Silver Star, the 194 bulbs. So those are brighter too. I don't know why that's half dim there for the eye. But yeah. The problem is now with LED bulbs, you get the issue where these aren't LED, but all my side marker lights are now LED. And, well, it was flashing before, really slow. Wonder if it's this one. So, but, yeah, I'll deal with that for now. Yeah, you can kind of see the LEDs, how bright they are in there. So I might take something to kind of cover up the vents in the back because they originally had some kind of like foam. Now, I'm assuming this is for heat from the regular bulbs, but what you're going to have is that bright light shining through, I think, and it might reflect off the... I wonder if it ain't going to reflect off the windows. I think those are a lot brighter, which is kind of nice. Hang on. Panel in. And actually, and I see a little bit of flickering light through there. Oh, good. Guess I don't have to screw around with that too much. But yeah. So she's gonna be ready here. Now I just gotta wait for winter to end. But she'll be good come spring.